Let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to explore the absolutely fascinating, cyclical history of a philosophy that shaped, lost, and eventually reclaimed its place in India. We are looking at a story that spans literally thousands of years, tracing exactly how profound ideas can survive the brutal rise and fall of empires. It's a journey filled with bloodshed, towering intellect, devastating destruction, and ultimately, a really incredible modern resurrection.
You know, it's really one of the greatest mysteries of human history. Think about it for a second. How exactly does an idea survive for 2,000 years, even when the very institutions built to protect it are burned to ash? Human history is completely full of powerful, massive empires that have just been erased by time or conquest. Yet somehow, certain philosophies manage to outlive the stone and brick buildings that were built to house them. So today, we're going to unpack exactly how that happens by looking at the incredible resilience of Buddhism in India.
To do this, we're going to chart this journey across four distinct epochs. We'll start in 261 BCE with the foundation of peace, then we'll move to a golden flourishing in 780 CE. After that, we have to look at the institutional collapse in 1193 CE, before finally jumping to the modern awakening in 1956. Let's kick things off with part 1, the foundation of peace, taking us right to the Kalinga battlefield in 261 BCE.
Just picture the scene. The smoke is hanging heavy over thousands of broken chariots and shattered spears. Emperor Ashoka has just won this massive, decisive military victory. But as he stands there on the crimson-stained ground, he realizes his heart is completely hollow. Now, in stark contrast to all this violence, stands a serene Buddhist monk named Upagupta. Upagupta essentially tells the emperor that a victory leaving rivers of blood behind is actually a defeat of the human spirit. The solution he offers isn't more conquest. It's the eightfold path focusing on right action and right compassion.
Imagine being the most powerful ruler of your time, your royal robes splattered with blood, your hands trembling as you look at the sheer devastation you ordered. Ashoka asks, is this the price of an empire? To rule over a graveyard? My swords have conquered the earth, but my heart is hollow. That right there is the exact moment an empire's bloody victory becomes a philosophical defeat. Ashoka literally drops his heavy iron sword into the mud, falls to his knees, and asks to be taught how to heal what he has broken.
So how does he actually heal it? Well, Ashoka completely retools the entire state apparatus. It's a massive paradigm shift. He transforms his engine of war into an engine of public welfare and philosophical outreach. He drops the sword and replaces the sound of war drums with the sounds of the Dhamma. He orders these giant stone pillars to be built to broadcast peace. He mandates the digging of wells to comfort weary travelers. And, maybe most importantly for our story, he sends messengers of truth out to the very edges of the earth. The idea has officially taken root. Fast forward 1,000 years, and we arrive at part 2, the golden flourishing, Nalanda University, 780 CE. By this point, we are at the absolute peak of the classical era. Nalanda University was this sprawling, incredible intellectual haven. It was a massive, multi-storied brick complex where knowledge just thrived under the shade of giant Bodhi trees. You have monks in ochre and yellow robes everywhere, students who literally traveled all the way from China, Tibet, and Korea just to be a part of this vibrant community. The halls are humming with intense debates on logic and the meticulous, careful copying of ancient manuscripts. But even in the middle of this golden age, there's a deep understanding of fragility. Vidura, who is a wise senior scholar monk, introduces this powerful metaphor to a younger student named Ananda. Vidura says, even if one house falls, the flame can be carried. Remember, what leaves here feeds forests of thought elsewhere. Protect the flame, and it will light other skies. He knows that institutions require land, patrons, and safety, and that political winds can change in a heartbeat. He's foreshadowing that the physical bricks of Nalanda might not last, but the ideas, those can travel. And sadly, that brings us to a much darker chapter. Part 3. The institutional collapse at the Ratnodadi Library in Nalanda, 1193 CE. Tragically, Vidura's warning was incredibly prophetic. Safety and patronage really can violently disappear overnight. The Ratnodadi Library was quite literally a house of thought. We are talking about millions of palm leaf manuscripts detailing everything from advanced medicine to the deep intricacies of the human mind. And then, suddenly, the wooden doors burst open. This quiet sanctuary of learning is completely overrun by heavily armored soldiers carrying bloodied scimitars and blazing torches.
The absolute anti-intellectual brutality of this invasion is perfectly captured by the Turkic military commander leading the raid, Bakhtiar Khilji. When his soldiers tell him there are no weapons in the building, just books, he doesn't care at all. He operates on this ruthless zero-sum logic. He declares, if these books match the holy word, they are redundant. If they contradict it, they are heresy. Burn it all. Leave nothing standing. He sees diverse thought as an immediate threat, so he orders his men to hurl their torches. As the flames roar toward the ceiling, a millennium of accumulated wisdom turns to ash. But right in the middle of that terrifying chaos, that young student we mentioned earlier, now an old man named Ananda, is violently pushed to the ground. Gathering his remaining strength, Ananda manages to slip just 3 manuscripts under his robes and escapes through a dark exit. Think about that. The physical institution is completely destroyed. The buildings are gone, but the flame of knowledge is literally carried away by a single survivor. Which leads us to our final era, Part 4, the Modern Awakening at Dakshibhumi, Nagpur, in 1956. For about 8 centuries after that fire, the Wheel of Dhamma is largely silent in the land of its birth. But let's jump forward to an open-air plain, where the setting has completely changed. We aren't looking at an ancient emperor or a classical monk anymore. Instead, we have a modern revolutionary, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, wearing his iconic blue suit, standing on a grand raised stage next to an elderly monk. He is looking out at a massive crowd made up of the most marginalized communities in India, people who have been told for centuries that they were unequal by birth. To really put this into perspective, we're talking about 500,000 people, 500,000 individuals gathered in dead silence, listening to one man. This wasn't some slow, quiet philosophical drift. This was a sudden, monumental, and incredibly coordinated societal shift. And what's absolutely crucial to understand here is that this revival isn't just about preserving ancient history for history's sake. Not at all. It is an urgent, modern rejection of systemic inequality. Ambedkar tells this massive crowd, I embrace the religion of the Buddha. It does not recognize caste. It recognizes only the human potential to awaken. He specifically chooses this philosophy because it completely strips away arbitrary social hierarchies and focuses entirely on fundamental human dignity. To make this work for a 20th century audience demanding their human rights, Dr. Ambedkar anchors this mass conversion in 3 powerful, ancient concepts. We have prajna, which is wisdom, karuna, which is compassion, and samatha, meaning equality. By distilling the teachings down to these 3 core pillars, he takes the tiny flame that Ananda carried out of that burning library centuries ago, and he uses it to spark a roaring fire of modern social change. The historical loop finally closes in this rhythmic, thunderous chant. Ambedkar speaks into the microphone, I shall follow the Eightfold Path, and 500,000 voices roar it right back in complete unison. A gentle breeze sweeps across the plain, stirring the saffron flags. The ancient Wheel of Dhamma, silenced by swords and fire centuries ago, finally begins to turn once more. So, as we wrap up this explainer, we've seen how ideas can outlive empires, how they can be hidden in a monk's robes during a time of absolute destruction, and how they can be revived centuries later to empower millions of people. Institutions are temporary, for sure, but knowledge is incredibly resilient. I want to leave you with this thought. What are the vital flames of knowledge, equality, or compassion that we are carrying today, ensuring they survive to ignite the minds of tomorrow?